Was a doctor involved that was willing to take that away, and things went downhill from there.
Bam Bam Bigelow live.
Eventually pushed him beyond the point of redemption, destroying everything he loved.
Please allow me to be your eyes and ears for this show.
Gave him the thing that was his biggest demise. This doctor could have had a loaded machine gun to our family, and it would have been no different. No different.
Live. Hello, everyone.
So, just digging through the vast archives, we have Dad's calendar. And then if you go to November 15, 1987, he got married. And then, not even taking a honeymoon, like he had a day off, and then he was in Des Moines, Iowa. This is literally the first 4 days of his career with the WWF in 1987.
He definitely wanted kids right away. He was like, I just want to stay home and raise the kids. You could go to work, go to school, do what you want to do. And he was more excited about being a dad than he was when he got Wrestlemania. Hi, I'm Dana Breckenridge. I was married to Bam Bam Bigelow. And when Richie came, I mean, that was the best thing ever. Because all he ever really wanted was a daughter.
Oh yeah, he was a giant teddy bear. What fans saw in the ring was not at all what we saw at home. It was love, it was playing around. My name is Richie Bigelow, and my father is Bam Bam Bigelow. We had this giant bed that we would all cuddle up in and just jump around. Yeah, it was a great time.
When you think of your dad, it's the first memory that comes to mind.
It was the last time I saw him. We were just driving in the car. I was 2 or 3 years old, but I remember seeing his head slowly drop to his chest and then come back up. And whenever I think back on how I went about the situation, I'm always so baffled because I was so young. But in some way, I understood that we were in some sort of danger. And as a toddler, I went into panic mode. I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta get out, daddy, pull over, I can't. So he pulled over on the side of the road, and he looked at me and gave me this big toothless smile. He's like, come on, like, do you have to go? Like, it's just on the side of the road. And I was like, no, but kind of stalling. And then we just got back on the road, and it started happening again. This time we were by a diner, and we pulled into that diner, and the next thing I know, my car door was opened, and a man just scooped me up and put me in the back of this gray car. And from the back seat, I watched them take my dad in handcuffs across. That was it. My mom came and picked me up, and she was real gentle about it. And she told me, you're probably not going to be seeing Daddy anymore. He needs help. And that was the last time I saw him.
He wanted to be a wrestler, but he wanted to be a father more. And everything was taken away. So was wrestling what took it away? Or was Scott and all the other outside influences what took it away? Like, how did this happen?
Here we go. This is his dad, his sophomore year in high school.
Oh my God.
Right? They were the Class A North champions, 20-6. That's probably the last time you'll see him with hair.
Everything around Asbury Park is Bruce Springsteen. The sound of Bruce Springsteen is everywhere and in everything that we did when we grew up on the shore. Scott was a street kid from Neptune who hung out in the bars of Asbury, driving the circuit in muscle cars. For our age and our crowd, he was definitely the man. You know what? He was probably the kindest, most genuine person of the group. We were friends, and it was just a progression, and then it was a whirlwind. We were street kids. Nobody thought about where they were going. I didn't go to college. My friends didn't go to college. He didn't go to college.
God, Jersey Shore was like the party place to be. I was running a club called Club Xanadu in Asbury Park, New Jersey. The club is actually 1 block from the Stone Pony. And in the middle was this place called Quack Quack. It's DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. And I know Bam Bam because I'm from the Jersey Shore. I roll into the Quack Quack, and I see this mammoth kid. And at some point, we're doing shots, and we just kind of clicked, but I think he was 17 at the time, but no one cared. because he looked like a full-grown man. He was, 300 plus pounds, and he could obviously be very menacing, but he also had that fun side to him. And they were calling him the Beast from the East back then.
He was a football player, and he was ranked in the state for wrestling, and he was feared on the mat and on the football field.
This was the time when heavyweight in high school wrestling was unlimited. So you're talking about a 320-pound teenager who can bench 500 pounds walking onto a mat.
Wow.
I'm Shane Bigelow, and my father's Bam Bam Bigelow. I heard a story from a high school wrestling coach that my father rolled his ankle real bad and he couldn't wrestle, but his coach was just like, Scotty, I need you to just go up there and just look me. So he gets up, he steps on the scale, he turns to the kid and he just gives him this big flex. It's just like, I'm coming for you. Lo and behold, this kid is shitting his pants. So he tells his coach, I'm not wrestling this guy. He's gonna rip my head off. All my father had to do, he hopped out on one leg, got his hand raised, and took the win.
Yeah, there was a group of the boys, and they were rough drinking, tattooed, like old sailors, but not sailors, they were roofers. And they were very infamous around town.
Him and his brothers used to jump off of billboards onto mattresses on the side of the road when my grandmother would drive past. She'd be like, oh, look at those kids. And then she'd realize that it was her 3 boys jumping onto like 5 mattresses piled high.
Scott was very quiet. He was the baby of the bunch. They usually only called him in when they needed the extra muscle.
And heard he got in a fight, he bit some kid's ear off. It's like, what? But it's part of the legend that went with the Beast from the East.
Tough dude, ran with rugged people. He was all that in a bag of chips, man. He was a bad apple when he wanted to be. I am Taz, former ECW World Heavyweight Champion and former opponent of Bam Bam Bigelow.
Taz.
I've heard all the stories about Bigelow, and I believe them all.
There's a whole separate legend before the legend Bam Bam Bigelow ever became the legend. My name is Scott Colton Bigelow, and Bam Bam Bigelow is my father. I know that he was a bounty hunter for a short stint. I don't know much about the backstory of it.
I guess I was about 18, 19 years old. You see an ad for bounty hunter, and basically just picked up bail jumpers, beat up a lot of people, and then wind up going to Mexico to get a little girl that was kidnapped.
He was supposedly commissioned to go and bring back a young girl who was taken out of the country.
In the whole Mayday craziness of the thing, his bounty hunting partner ends up getting shot in the neck and killed. And that's when my dad spent 6 months in a Mexican prison.
I heard he ended up in jail, Mexico. So you just hear little bits and pieces, but Scotty, they could be exaggerated.
The story is he befriended the judge because he used to run through the walls that were made out of like the terracotta clay. He used to just break through the cells of the walls so they couldn't keep him in. So the judge one day apparently goes to him and asks him, he goes, I need security from all these cartel, mob, whatever guys. So you stand in front of me and you stop these maniacs from like lunging at me and trying to kill me, and I'll knock your sentence down.
Wow.
So the story is that a judge took pity on my father because my father saved him from a bunch of guys trying to jump over and stab him, and he ended up letting him loose early.
He's basically a New Jersey legend. There's a story that one night, house is on fire, he's driving by, runs in and saves some kids.
He pulled over, ran in the house and saved the kids. That sounds like a TV movie. It doesn't sound like stuff that really happens, and there were a lot of stories like that just out there floating around. I'm Shane Douglas, and I had the pleasure of being partners in the triple threat with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Shane Douglas.
Yes, I'd heard that he got arrested, I guess, in Mexico. That sounds implausible. And then, over years, you'd hear other people repeating these stories, and just elevated that legend that was Bam Bam.
Getting out of the joint, there's no jobs, So I was bouncing, partying, hanging out with the boys.
Here comes Bam Bam in the club. This is like 81-ish, and it's packed, and my club was nice. And I see Bam roll in with like 3 of his biker buddies, and I come rolling up behind him with my arm around his back. I'm like, yo, Bam, no trouble in here tonight, right, bro? Oh, come on, Paige, I wouldn't do that to you. And at some point, we're at the bar, and I got guys a shot, and wrestling comes up. And, I said, I tried that in '79. He goes, you tried wrestling? And I said, but I had 3 matches. My 3rd match, I hurt my knee, and I kind got swept away by the boozed broads of the party. But talking to him about it, yeah, I'm like, dude, you're a natural. He goes, that would be a pie in the sky dream for me.
It just got to the point where, well, where's my life gonna go? You know, I don't have a college education. My gift was being athletically inclined, and so I went to a wrestling school, which was Larry Sharp's school, Monster Factory at the time. The rest is history.
Larry Sharp was a former amateur wrestler who opened up the Monster Factory. My name's Dave Meltzer. I'm the editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and I've been covering pro wrestling since 1971. And one day, I guess, Bam Bam walked in the door, and Larry saw, like everyone did, money.
And he became Scott's manager. Set him up on a couch, threw him in the ring, and trained him.
I wound up staying out there at the Monster Factory, living out there, basically eating it, living it, sleeping it for a year.
I saw footage of him coming out of the Monster Factory. You could tell, like, his aptitude to learn how to do this and get better at this, his athleticism, it jumped out at me right away. I mean, seeing a guy like that, you know, a guy that big, you know, do a cartwheel, I was like, wow, he's super impressive.
For Scott, professional wrestling, it's like a double-edged sword. It gave him life and it took his life. That's the ultimate double edge, isn't it?
Yeah. Double-edged sword. Burning the candle at both ends. All right, everyone, let's see what tantalizing questions you guys have. So, Rorito. So, Rorito asks, thoughts on Bam Bam when he fought Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania? I thought it was a big money match. It was awesome. I remember watching it live, so it was great. I don't know who they are. Roy Jersey Triad. What's up, Garrett Light? Orito asks, what do I think of the Bam Bam Bigelow character? I think he's an incredible character, and he did very well for his stature. Oh, definitely, Rorito. Bam Bam was in the main event scene. I feel like he should have been a world champion, too. Yes, your father was hidden, unfortunately, but there was a fake account that was portraying to be your father as well. So I think they both went down with the ship, unfortunately, but I was able to restore your father's account. Rio asked, do I think Bam Bam would have been a great main eventer in WCW? I can't keep up with these questions. Hold on. Lots of questions tonight. Lots of questions. This is great. Definitely been a great main eventer in WCW. Absolutely. What's up, Mr. Aguilar? Brian? Lore asks, how was my day? My day was great, Lore. Thank you for asking. Just working all day. Been up since 6 a.m. So, Roy, well, your father is back, unfortunately, but, you know, there was a fake account, so, unfortunately. Rory asks, which 5 wrestlers you've had Bam Bam team with in WWF, you mean? Say Yokozuna, Owen Hart, Mabel, Earthquake, and Typhoon. Oh, definitely Garrett. He would have been on Raw 1000 if he was still around. Absolutely, Garrett. Thoughts on Liv Morgan's injury? Well, that's the problem, Rory. We don't know when it's real or not anymore. Like, for me, at least. So, whether she's injured or not, like, it looks the same to me. Well, I don't know if there's any proof that Z did it, and if he did do it, he was probably trying to go after the fake Mr. Gonzalez.
Scott Bigelow is on the brink of stardom.
All right, more questions after this.
From a troubled past.
When he went to the Monster Factory with Larry Sharp, Larry really developed the name Bam Bam with Scott. Bam Bam, the strong baby face. You're like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. So he became Bam Bam Bigelow.
Probably the most handsome wrestler on the face of the earth.
The massive head of Bam Bam and that big flame ball on that head, that tattoo. Who gets ink on their head has got to be crazy. Nevertheless, their whole head, for those that never got a tattoo, they hurt as much as they think, okay? This guy got his skull tattooed. Just imagine how much pain and how many hours that took to do. This was the branding of Bam Bam Bigelow.
See, people love to hate. And as long as they want to hate me, I know I'm doing my job.
And it kind of just sent that message to the fans and to other wrestlers. That's a bad dude right there.
And Bam, do you have anything to say about all this?
I'm hungry.
He's hungry.
Being a rookie to the wrestling scene, those with an eye for the business see Bam Bam's incredible potential, especially soon-to-be industry pioneer Paul Heyman.
Paul was doing wrestling magazines at the time. This is before he was actually running around the business as a manager. And in his magazines, he was always promoting Bam Bam Bigelow like this phenomenon. And the guy never even had a match. Paul worked at Studio 54. He was doing publicity at the time. And he got this, gig, Bam Bam Bigelow's first match. And I looked at it and it was just like, oh my God. This guy's like 380 pounds and he's coming off the top rope. At that point, I'm going like, this guy's gonna be like it in wrestling, like he's gonna be the biggest thing.
I was like 19 when we started dating, and I was with his brother and a couple other friends, and we went to a show, and he got up there and he wrestled, and they were just in awe of what it all was. I just was like, oh, he's at work. I didn't really know too much about it until the WWF came knocking.
At some point, I'm running another really big club in 86-ish. And I'm flicking the channels, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing wrestling, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Bigelow.
Take a good look, because we're bringing him from one end of the world to the other.
Next thing I know, he's with Hulk Hogan, he's in the WWF. And I'm like, oh my God.
From Asbury Park, New Jersey,
He made it.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Not only is Bam Bam headed to the WWF, but he's coming in with the full support of company owner Vince McMahon.
WWF brought him in and, they tried to make him into the next big thing. They did the thing where all the managers were bidding on him to make him extra special.
I'm here to introduce Bam Bam Bigelow.
Vince loved big guys, and now you've got the most agile, 380-pound guy that anyone has ever seen. I mean, they brought him in to be Hulk Hogan's tag team partner, to be right there with Hogan, and he was going to main event there, and he was going to work with the top guys.
In the beginning, Hulk Hogan was the one that really took me and said, okay, this is the business, this is how we do it, this is serious.
He signed the WWE contract, and we got married November 15th, 1987, and he went on the road November 16th, 1987.
How did he propose to you?
We were watching TV, and he was like,
Want to get married?
I was like, okay. And that was basically it. There was no fanfare. I saw him 10 times a year. I don't even know. Maybe that's why the marriage lasted so long. Maybe that's why I don't have anything bad to say. He was on the road and hit the ground running, and it was on from there.
Back in the early days with WWF, we were working 60 days in a row, main event in front of the sold-out crowd every night, and on the weekends we would do 2 shows, so life in the fast lane.
When he was home, he did regular things. So he remained very humble. Scott was who he was around here. But, it was cool to see him on TV. He was in the first Nintendo game. Like I said, he was just breaking into the business, and he worked, and he provided. He knew to take advantage of that situation and take advantage of everything that was given to him.
What a monster!
Everybody that gets a pair of boots and tights wants to be the world champion, right? And they think they're ready for it yesterday. For me, it was 11 years before I saw a world title. So when I did get that belt, I understood the responsibility that went with it. So I would think that Bam Bam being thrown that quickly into main events with, Hulk Hogan or one of these massive names, it would have been intimidating. He never had to crawl his way up. There's always going to be jealousy, especially when you've been in the business 15 years and he's been in the business for 2 or 1, and he's on the top of the card.
he was young, and these guys were big, and it was George Animal Steel and King Kong Bundy, and it was just people that he always saw on TV, and now all of a sudden he's standing in the middle of the ring in the Survivor Series, and the older guys were like, you know, you need to step in line. I remember there was an Andre match. Of course, Andre the Giant was the biggest man you'll ever see. Andre got him in the ring up against the ropes and wrapped the rope around his neck.
Oh.
Scott was like, he's gonna kill me.
Andre tried to kill me in Madison Square Garden. He picked me up and he tried choking me out, and I was going, oh God, don't go out. Madison Square Garden, man, got sold out. Yeah. You can't pass out.
Damn, Andre was beating the hell out of him. That's crazy. Okay, guys, let's continue on with the questions. We're on commercial break. Rory asked, what would you do if Bam Bam was a bouncer at a nightclub you were at? I would feel very safe. Very safe. Rory asked, what are my thoughts on Dave Meltzer? I think he's very biased in his decisions. Thoughts on Earl Hebner? If the money's right, he's going to do it. Rory asks, 5 female wrestlers you want to be your tag team partners. Chyna, Tori Wilson, Trish Stratus, Naomi, and Natalia. Have they sold a lot of KWO merch? I didn't sell one piece of KWO merch, Rory. Not one. Who designed your KWO merch? I designed it myself. Yeah, I designed it. But not one piece was sold. Believe it or not. Oh, Jersey Triad was Bam Bam, DDP, and Canyon. Who better? Who better than Canyon? Who better? Who do I like? Rory asks, who do I like more? Paul Heyman, Bischoff, Vince Russo, or McMahon, booking-wise? I think Bischoff was a great booker, honestly, but Vince McMahon, you know, he's the OG. It all depends. Yeah, Z, you know, we have a lot of fake accounts, so there's no telling who they are. Where he asks, what are my 5 favorite WWF TV shows of all time? Confidential, Raw, SmackDown, Sunday Night Heat, and A&E Biography. Rory asks, you guys, any of you other guys have questions? Rory's got a lot of questions here tonight. Anyone else, please give me your questions. Rory asks, do you think Ravishing Rick Rude needed to be a main eventer in WWF or WCW? I think both. You know, he had the look, he had the talk, he had the walk. He could have did either one. Rory asks, do you think Bam Bam should have been King of the Ring rather than Mabel? Absolutely, 100%. Or he asks, which 6 King of the Ring winners do you feel should not have won? That's a tough question.
Andre thought I was just
we'll get back to that.
I was getting too cocky or whatever. You know, he was laying him in.
So, you know, Andre, he was on top of him and he was pounding on him.
Wow.
Hard. It was a bad night at the office for Bam Bam Bigelow.
And
wow.
Andre said something to him like, young boy, you know, you're a little green for us. Like, this is how it works. Like, you're going to learn. And Andre really just stuck it to him. But, you know, they were just letting him know he had to pay his dues. He was green. And you need to wait your turn. Because it's not right now.
After only a year in the big leagues, Bam Bam Bigelow's match with Andre the Giant marks his exit from the WWF.
Really?
He got such a big push, but at a certain point, they did sour on him. Bigelow paid the price here, and it may have been ego-wise, the other guy's not liking him.
And my father just knowing when things get a little too thick and it's not his time.
No, keep continuing. I mean, any questions? Absolutely.
Working for various U.S. promotions before receiving a lucrative offer to wrestle in Japan.
I don't even know what years these are, but judging by the suit, probably early 90s. This is one of his original Japanese suits. There was more money for him to be had overseas.
They offered me a lot of money to go work in Japan. I was working with Antonio Inoki. There was a lot of talent there.
When he went to Japan, he was on for 2 weeks and then home for 2 weeks. So he had longer stretches of time home.
What sparked his return to WWF?
A contract, and it was time for him to come back to the States. I guess in his meeting with Vince, you know, they worked a deal that he felt comfortable and he was a little bit more mature and he was ready to come back.
All right, man. So what do you got here? So this is his coming out to the ring attire when he was in his second run in the WWF. He would have pyrotechnics underneath here, and they would shoot like fireworks out. I don't fill it out as much as he did. He said he used to look like a tulip in it.
In 1992, as the WWF struggles with declining popularity, Vince McMahon brings Bam Bam back to the roster. Once again proving to be a top-level star, Bam Bam gets thrust into the main event of WrestleMania 11.
WrestleMania 11.
Here we go.
McMahon books him against one of the NFL's most celebrated players.
Lawrence Taylor, probably the most media-frenzied time of my father's career.
That was Scott's idol, like LT and the Giants. Like, now I'm gonna wrestle him, you know, I'm gonna wrestle with him.
That build-up and that whole pomp and circumstance of being the main event of WrestleMania.
Lawrence Taylor, just me and you.
This was a match not for wrestling fans.
The media hype around this match has been absolutely huge.
This was a match for the general public. And the idea was by being in the match, all the exposure from the football press and the mainstream press would then make Bam Bam's name bigger, so then he could be the big star that they wanted him to be.
That means I'm here. I did it. I am the 1%. Every little boy wants to be a WWE wrestler. Almost every little boy. And he was in the main event. It was a paycheck bigger than a lot of people make in 1 year.
I see a lot of videos online. People, oh, it's the worst WrestleMania. You know what? There's not another person that could have carried Lawrence Taylor to do that show.
Business was down. Vince needed to hit a home run, and they picked me because I'm the only guy that could take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad.
You know, Vince trusted my father enough to be the person to pull that off.
Bam Bam soon learns that being the company's go-to big man comes with certain sacrifices.
The only problem working for Vince McMahon is that if you get hurt, there's no sympathy there. He wants you to work. And it's really hard to do because your body can't take that type of punishment.
It definitely took a toll on his body.
I mean, every time he sits in a chair and stands up, he just squatted 400 pounds. A lot of wear and tear on your knees, your back, your neck, your shoulders. I mean, the thing that made him so great was, you know, an agile big guy. The problem with the agile big guys is that by doing that stuff, a smaller guy can take that stuff longer, and a big guy can start wearing down you a lot.
He definitely had some knee surgeries and an elbow surgery or shoulder surgery. You know, his body was starting to take a little bit of a licking. That's one thing I didn't do. I didn't worry and I didn't stress out. It was his job, and he was an entertainer, and he was an athlete. And I was too young to think about the lifelong lasting effects of wrestling and what it would have on his body and his mind. But I do know that he knew if he was out and he was injured too long, somebody was going to step up and replace him. So that was a no-no.
I'm not letting the opportunity walk by me. That heavyweight championship is going to be mine.
He's got multiple injuries at this point. How's he dealing with that?
Probably pain pills like everybody else, but I do remember, you know, that was so commonplace among wrestlers then. It was such a part of the scene that it wasn't like a big deal. And it was like, hey, D, you got any Vikes? So you just gave them to your boy, you know, because he needed them right there. When you see this symbol,
Vicodin.
you can be assured of drug-free entertainment you can be proud of.
Vince tested for marijuana and performance-enhancing drugs, but you've got a prescription. You're good.
Through that 80s and into the 90s, there were two things that coincided. I mean, if this is the wrestling industry, running right next to that is the pharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical industry is now coming up with better, more accessible opiates. The OxyContin, which I did have a problem with. I've seen it so much in my career. So many of my peers during that time just left us way too early because of addiction, especially pain pills.
He was diabetic, and he had an endocrinologist, not a pain management doctor, and he would call and, I need perks, I need Vikes, I need Oxys, I need something to keep me going.
If you were at the pool party and old Doc came by, well, I happen to have a refillable script of OxyContins in return for autographs or, you know, tickets to local shows here and there. It's a pretty powerful thing to have over someone.
That's
They
crazy.
might as well just put heroin in a bottle and called it OxyContin. I can guarantee you, before that prescription was done, he was probably addicted.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get addicted to that stuff, you know. All right, let's see what other amazing questions we have here. What King of the Rings do you feel should not have won? You know, that's a lot. That's a lot because I feel like many of them were worthy of becoming King of the Ring, but I say King Mabel was probably at the top of the list. Maybe Booker T as well. Maybe. But if I think of any others, I will let you know. What's up, Seth freaking Rollins? Do you feel King Kong Bundy would have been a great match for Bam Bam? Yeah, that would have been a big match. Big money match. Will there be a season 2 of Against the Grain? Like I said, Roy, it's really on the back burner, those kind of projects, because right now I'm focusing on projects that will really help grow the channel. So I have to spend time wisely because I don't have much time to work on the channel. So I really have to spend whatever time I do have to make sure it's very effective in what I'm trying to do. Trying to hit the 100K mark. That's my next goal, 100,000 subscribers. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. So all these projects are on the back burner, you know. What Rory says, what will I do if someone purchased a KWO item? Well, that, you know, I would appreciate it, but you know, Teespring handles all that for the merchandise. So when someone purchases it from Teespring, they make it, they send it out, they ship it out and everything. I don't own the merchandise here. I don't have any of the merchandise. They make it and they send it out. So they do everything. But I'm the one who designed the shirts, designed the merch. King Patriot, are you going to do memberships on your MJ Wrestling Shoots channel? Yes, actually, we were doing memberships on there, but we got demonetized because there was an issue with some of the interviews that we had on there. They claimed they were copyrighted, so they took the monetization away. But we did have about 5 members on that channel already. Yeah, so Roy, yeah, so I don't even know how he would have got banned, your father, if he wasn't even on last night. Yes, Austin Benner, you could create Sarah a title, absolutely. Make it purple though.
Promotion ECW, run by his old friend Paul Heyman.
I mean, the one reason he went to ECW was because he liked how it was local. Obviously, if he was in Asbury, the whole family would get together and we'd all go.
Like, he knew he had a commodity. You know, he didn't take his character off. It was tattooed on his head. So wherever he went, Bam Bam Bigelow was going.
There is only one Bam Bam Bigelow.
Light purple.
I think it was a little too hardcore for me being so young.
Our fans were riding with us. That was the whole gimmick. We were renegades, well damn it, we the fans, we're renegades too.
From fit to finish, those shows were chaos. Well, I remember this crowd just like a mosh pit. And this dude who is drunk as a skunk comes barreling and just absolutely face punches me, trucks me right into the ground. I'm like 10, 11 years old. Like, I've never been hit by a grown man. And it's that type of like, where you're like, you can't catch your breath. So I remember going backstage, and I don't even think I told my father anything. He just like saw it, and he's like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know, this guy punched me, like went through the crowd. He's like, fine.
The gentleman who did that was escorted to the back for a conversation.
Conversation, all right.
I witnessed this quasi-conversation. I'll never forget it.
And all you hear is, so you want to hit kids? And you know that like, this dude is getting the life smacked out of him.
I don't know how else to put it. It was very bad. I'm sure everybody's okay now.
But the fans in turn are fueled by ECW's over-the-top, ultra
Sure, Austin.
brand of extreme wrestling.
In ECW, we were a bunch of wrestlers that most of the bigger promotions, they didn't want us, kind of, and we were like the land of misfit toys, and incorporated a lot of new stuff into pro wrestling in a revolutionary way. I mean, you had to be tough to be in our company. Like, Bigelow was a very tough guy, legitimate guy, and he really started to come into his own amongst what we were doing.
The stuff that these guys were doing, jumping off the rafters, through tables, getting thrown into the stands, it's just as hardcore can get.
ECW.
Just trying to hurt each other. We were professionals. What happens in that ring is built on trust. So, the infamous Taz and Bigelow go through the ring in Asbury Park.
Yes.
So I get this phone call from Paul Heyman, and he says, you and Bigelow, he's going to beat you for the belt, and he's going to put you through the ring to do it. He goes, what do you think? And the first thing I thought is, I'm going to die. So the way a ring is constructed, it's a steel frame, and then there's these thick wood boards, and then there's kind of like a cushion. It's not as big as a mat, and then a canvas. So these wood boards were cut first, so then the boards would just be moved out of the way, then open the trap door, and Bam Bam was concerned. What about Taz's head? Like, his head's gonna hit the frame of this thing. How are we gonna clear this hole? I almost feel dirty explaining this on there. I'm so old school, like, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, you're giving up all the secrets.
Basically, we fought. We were outside the ring for quite some time fighting until we get the signal that this door is open. So if you watch closely, we've got it locked up. When I have the choke on, and I'm really pulling it back, this curtain all the way here, right? So
Yeah, you're pulling it back.
He's tapping first, then he puts his hand on the top rope. Under his hand is a little piece of white tape. That white tape was the measurement to clear my head.
Oh.
We hit that grass mat hard as hell.
Wow.
The ring engulfs us, and we heard the people. My eyes lit up. I was so happy. And the first thing he says to me, are you okay? That's Bam Bam Bigelow. And he goes, we did it. And we were laughing because the place was rumbling. He waited for the people to come down a teeny bit, and then once they saw him come out first, we knew the pop would be loud, but I don't know if we knew it was going to be that loud. I mean, it was just, I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Wow.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah, there's so many things that could have gone wrong. You could break your back, you could break your neck. But Scotty never ever said no to anything.
It's a small miracle that Bigelow is moving.
ECW was definitely extreme. I'm just surprised nobody died. I am really surprised nobody died.
You would see him come out, he'd have, giant gashes on his head, and he would
just put some super glue on it, close it up, and then we would go have a cheesesteak.
I can't tell you how many times he's been sewed up in our living room. Doctor just would come over and just sew him up in the middle of the night while he was half asleep. So the injuries were the beginning of the end.
He had stenosis in the entirety of his spine. He had crushed discs. He had sections fused of his back at that time. You could run your finger down his spine and you could feel almost like braille. Pills just allowed him to move.
If you didn't go out and you didn't put on a show, you weren't getting paid. So I understand the aspect of having to take something to basically push you through that.
I did see Bigelow struggling a little bit physically, but he hit it well. He wouldn't tell you if you had to go for a match, hey dude, I'm hurting here, my shoulder hurts, my neck hurts, my back hurts. He was just, let's go, let's do it, whatever it was.
The pain pills Bam Bam Bigelow consumes allow him to continue performing at the highest level, but they also take a toll on his life away from the ring.
He was never aggressive, and he was always very respectful, and he became angry. He would at times be very coherent and at times be very incoherent, and he would be like, you're just crazy and you're making things up. I'm under a doctor's care, and this is, what I have to do to be in the business. It was a doctor, an MD, who get paid a lot of money to treat him for one disease and gave him whole nother one.
The pill bottles from that doctor, I've never seen pill bottles that size in my life before. 100 pills, 300 pills.
This doctor was a fan, and he would have done anything that Scott wanted, regardless of his license, and he did. Scott was in denial, and so was the doctor, because I would call him and say, stop writing these prescriptions, you're destroying our lives, you're ruining our family.
And that doctor's response, he would call my father and say that the warden's calling me, telling me not to come over. Undermining my mother to my father in an already weakened state.
Nobody's paying attention to these doctors. You're a drug dealer, because he was not a pain doctor. It's a tragedy. Scott sold his soul for Oxycontins. And he would have stepped over us in the street to get them.
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's a recurring theme here about drugs. It's just everywhere. It's rampant in the business back then, especially. So it's pretty wild. Okay, let's see what other tantalizing questions you guys have. That's right, Garrett. Bam Bam has made a lot of mistakes. What's up, Unbroken? Taz can fit under a sink without kneeling down. What's up, Danny? From South Carolina. Rory asks, what are the top 5 spots you've ever seen in wrestling? Yours is Shane Mick jumping from the Hell in a Cell, Mick from Hell in a Cell, Shane going to a glass at King of the Ring, Inferno match, Taker vs. Kane, and Taz versus Bam Bam and ECW. I say Sandman and Sabu, I think November to Remember, it was a TLC match. Yeah, like that whole match was amazing. What else? Yeah, Mick and Taker, Hell in a Cell. Steve Blackman and Shane McMahon. If I think of more spots, I'll let you know. That's right, Rory. Mo, Larry, and Curly. That's what I would name them. Why is Boots nicknamed Boots? Because when he was a child, he would wear boots all the time. He would just love to wear boots. So we named him Boots. So what's Boots' real nickname? That is actually his nickname, but his other nickname, which we would call him, was Little Buddha. Little Buddha, because he was a chubby little fellow. So when he would sit down, he looked like a little Buddha. Why do I look so serious tonight? Well, it's an amazing show. To be honest, it's very tantalizing. It's very informative. So I'm really on the edge of my seat. Broken stenosis, the same thing that Sheamus has. Medical technology has become leaps and bounds since the Bam Bam days. I hope so. Roy says, am I tired or annoyed tonight? No, I wouldn't say either one. No. No, I feel fine. I feel fine. I mean, I'm just a little bit upset of the fake accounts that keep coming back and forth, and it really hurts the stream, all the fake accounts, and I'm really annoyed about that. Anyone watch 350 Days documentary? No, I haven't.
OxyContin is one of America's new wonder drugs.
Since the drug came on the market, the number of annual prescriptions has risen to nearly 6 million.
Contributing to the problem are pill mills, where doctors write prescriptions for non-medical reasons.
He wasn't going to buy drugs off the street. He was home taking Oxycontins. And then I got pregnant with Richie, and then the promises, you know, this is going to be different. We're going to get through this. I think he tried to pull himself together because he said he always wanted a daughter his whole life. It was like beyond anything to have this daughter. And when she was little, he used to put her to bed every single night, and she had a pillow, and he would lay on the floor next to her, and he would sing her songs and hold her hands. And he was in her room on her floor every night.
Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, my dad would pick me up from preschool, big red truck, eat all the Doritos you can imagine, paint pictures, just normal father-daughter relationship.
When he was around, he was focused on being with us and spending time with us.
His body was a little hindered, and he was starting to feel the pain, but you know, that didn't stop us from going to every opening day for fishing, every opening day for hunting. He got to be a dad, and without being on the road 300 plus days a year, those are the fondest memories. There's no pension in professional wrestling, so he needed to make as much money as he could with the body that he had, because he knew it was deteriorating. He even says that he's the highest paid loser in the world because he'll take a loss as long as that loss pays.
I'm the guy who helped bring Bam Bam in to WCW. When he heard that I was wrestling, somehow he got my number. He's like, dude, you're doing it. Like, we grew up maybe 7 miles from each other. These two Jersey Shore boys, but now we're tag team champions. I never felt like he was under the influence in the ring, but eventually, people start to go back to their old habits, and that's why so many guys died. Overconsumption of pills. Because when you're taking 5 at a time, because 3 stopped working, you can't remember if you took them or not, so you take 5 more, and before you know it, you're that guy.
He went on the road, and he would not show up to shows or tapings. He was in Arizona, and friends of ours were there, and he didn't make it to the show, and they called home, and I was like, what do you mean? He's there. Got to the point where he was a liability, and that's what they said. And they paid him the rest of his contract to stay home because he could not function.
I saw a man broken. He's away from his family, and he's not in the best physical shape because he's in constant pain, having to take a pill just to get up, and not just a pill, multiple pills. But the trade-off of that is it completely dulls your senses, it completely just destroys your sense of person.
How many pills do you think he was taking a day?
15, 20 Oxycontins, easily.
A day?
Yeah.
It was dangerous. And the situation happened with the youngest where it became very dangerous.
I had wrote a paper about it when I was in 8th grade, and I went back and read it last night, understanding that what was happening is I'm writing about my father nodding out, driving. And when I wrote that in 8th grade, I had no idea that's what was going on. And I remember the officers were asking me all these questions, like, for a 3-year-old, they're asking me my address, my phone number, my mom's phone number, like all this information.
It's a lot.
I don't know. Where's my dad?
It's That's a
So
lot.
when I went back last night and read it, really knowing what was going on, what was in his system, it just hits 10 times harder.
As Bam Bam Bigelow's addiction sends him crashing to rock bottom, he's charged with endangering the welfare of his daughter.
He was given an ultimatum. I'm like, you've either got to go get help or you have to go. He wouldn't get help. And he went. He didn't see that he had a problem the way that he did, the way that addicts do.
You know, Dad's not going to be home anymore. They're getting a divorce. That's when he picked up and basically went to Florida.
He was married to a drug. So to watch a man who would choose that over his children, when I knew that that was the most important thing, was just the worst thing ever.
I got to talk to him on the phone, but it would be like spans of where it would be really quiet because I could hear him crying. He was struggling to form the words "I."
I went down to Tampa, spring break, my senior year. I wanted to go down there to see my friends, but I really just wanted to go down there to find my dad. And his girlfriend answered the phone, said he wasn't available at the point in time, and then I got a phone call when I landed back in New Jersey from my father apologizing. And, you know, I kind of aired him out a little bit. I told him how I felt. And then he died 3 weeks later.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I was in school teaching, and a phone call got patched to my classroom, and it was his brother, Todd. And Todd said, he's gone. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he's gone. And he was crying hysterically. And I just hung up the phone and ran out of the building, and Shane was in college.
Yeah, I got that call.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I'm walking back through the quad. There's kids going to class, and I got a phone call from my father's childhood friend. Your father died last night. And it's just like everybody around you is moving fast, and you're just still. I just remember
too bad.
It rocked me. What I heard. At that time, he was, you know, going through a tough time.
I thought of his family instantly, because I know how much he loved his family and his wife. You know, I just felt for him.
He died of an overdose. Accidental overdose, but you know, the word accidental and overdose should just not be in the same sentence. How do you accidentally, oops, took one too many? Took one too many for a long time.
That's right. She's right. Bam Bam Bigelow. So, the 350 Days documentary. I would love to check that out. Unbroken. Is that on YouTube? Unbroken says the crucifix scene with Raven and Sandman, Kurt Angle walked out crowd and almost rioted. Yeah, he said, and they couldn't use his likeness either, otherwise they would have sued them. Roy says, do we need a new era of mods since this keeps happening? I think so. Yeah, you know, I'm getting to the point where it's really difficult to control the stream when moderators are making multiple mistakes, you know, every stream. So I can't keep up with it sometimes, and unfortunately. So I am considering something to that extent. If this keeps happening, yes, I am considering it. Hey, Bruce, hey, we're not strangers here. You're at the stream where everybody knows your name. Everybody. Exactly, Unbroken. A 3-year-old wouldn't know that information. So, I guess that's what gave the cops the ability to incarcerate Bam Bam. Yeah, guys, any other questions? I mean, Rory's been asking all the questions. Remove yours, Rory? Well, I'm saying I'm considering it. I'm not saying I'm going to remove your mod or anyone else's mod. I'm just saying I'm considering the mods. I really am. Bash at the Beach 2000? Is that next week? Is that next week? Oh, wow.
That is not happening.
Is this it?
Your creative control so bad, take it. That was never my plan. Did I know that Hulk Hogan was going to take the election? How could you not? Dark Side of the Ring. New episode next
Ooh.
Tuesday.
On January 19th, 2007,
Bro, you're tired of moderator?
45 years of age, Bam Bam Bigelow dies by what authorities call an accidental overdose from a cocktail of illicit
We'll
and
talk
prescription drugs.
right
I didn't
after
grieve.
when next commercial
It
break.
wasn't for me because I was scrambling. I had kids. They couldn't
He had
see me
cocaine in
break
his
down. They
system.
couldn't see me weak, and that's all I became was a provider. Like I didn't have time to coddle and nurture. That's the hardest part on me now.
Towards the end, it was very difficult with my mother. Just because that was my dad, that was my hero.
My mom had to make a really tough decision. You know, for a while I never understood why we couldn't just go see Dad. And when you don't understand, you just think it's selfish. But then when you do, you become appreciative that you weren't exposed to something that would have been just so heartbreaking.
As a father, I think it just digs into you when you think if there was no compunction for Bammer to reach out for some kind of help, that he must have thought that he had it under control. He must have figured this is not really a problem because of how much he talked about his kids.
It's been just honoring the legacy of Bam Bam.
Now, collision course!
I never really got to stop and acknowledge my own pain.
You always think about if you had one last chance, what you would say. I think there's more ask, which is why.
His kids lost their dad at a young age. It's sad, you know, because Bigelow, like so many of us wrestlers during that time, was on the road a lot. You know, you're not around. You're making a living for your family.
If Scott was here, what would you say to him?
Your mother. But through years of therapy, I know you had no control. It's not your fault. I don't blame you. You know, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a drug addict today. You wake up every morning and you're like, today's going to be a change. But I would call him a mother first. Just because he would expect that.
I can't fault him for what happened. You had to keep going. That's how you put the bread on the table.
I signed all the rights over to the kids, so they got all the royalty checks. So he, in his death, still supported them.
As far as being a big man, who's better than Bam Bam?
Nobody. There's nobody.
The best big man in the business. The guy that was doing cartwheels, moonsaults, drop kicks, and things that they never ever seen another big man do before. That's what I want to be remembered as.
When I think of pro wrestling, I think of power, I think of size, I think of my father.
He was a great person, and how he lived, and all the wonderful things that he did for people, and the great father that he was, should be what is remembered. Not how he died, because that's a terrible story, but he left such a legacy. He was that 1%.
She's right. She's right. You know, Bam Bam was one of the best big men in all of wrestling. He really was. What's up, Nathan? Oh, thank you, Bruce. Thank you for offering. Much appreciated. But I understand. I understand. Garrett asks, do you feel Bam Bam had interesting moments with Goldberg in WCW? I'm sure he had amazing moments in every establishment he's worked in. So, yeah, Unbroken, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of accounts that are portraying real accounts that come onto the stream and they give away titles. They say, oh, I'm giving away my title, but it's not them. It's a fake account. So it creates a whole mess. And it's just been happening for a long time. Oh, definitely, Roy, you created an amazing legacy. I mean, Trivia, absolutely. Yeah, so about moderator, you guys do not just screw this up with moderator. Like, do not give this away, because anywhere you go, you could put this on your resume that you are a moderator for a YouTube channel that has 65,000 subscribers, that will eventually get up to 100,000, that will go way past 100,000 and keep going on from there on. So you can literally put this on your resume and say you're a moderator for a YouTube channel, a pretty big YouTube channel too. So I wouldn't just give that up, you know, because there's so much you can utilize this for. I mean, you could actually, on a job interview, you could say that you're a moderator on a YouTube channel that has so and so amounts of subscribers. Really, Danny? Wow, that's incredible. Oh, really, Rory? Wow, 87,000. See? Those are big numbers. See, like, it's definitely something to cherish. And I only ask that if you are a moderator, just to uphold the 3 rules. Just 3 rules. To uphold the integrity of the stream, to lead by example, and keep the peace. That's all. That's all. So, as long as you're following those 3 rules, you're golden. Everything's good. So, just keep that in mind, that I trust, if you are a moderator, I trust you guys to uphold the integrity of the stream. I really do. And if for any reason I feel like there's dissension in the ranks, there's issues in the stream, in the chat, I rely on you moderators to not only try to keep the peace, but not to add on to the drama, but remove the drama. You know what I mean? So that's what I rely on you guys for. That's how you get so many subscribers, Goof. I drop your link 300 times a day. Well, thank you, Danny. But, however, my analytics show that the shorts are what catapulted this channel. Shorts is what catapulted this channel from 10,000 subscribers all the way up to 65,000 today, in literally a year. Literally a year. Oh, thank you, Danny. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you. I mean, I'm sure that helps. Trust me, that helps. When you share out this channel, it does help. Thank you, guys. But just keep that in mind, that I do rely on you guys for that. And I do appreciate everything you guys do. But just keep that in mind, that I can't keep going on like this. Oh, thank you, Garrett. Yeah, it does bring a lot of views. I can't keep going on like this where the dramas continue to ensue, where there's fights that break out in the chat. I mean, I can't keep doing that. Keep the peace, for Matt turns what's left into a piece. Oh, really, Danny? That's awesome, bro. Thank you, Rory, for displaying leadership. I appreciate it. Yeah, but you know that's basically it. You know, don't throw this away. This is an opportunity. If you were a moderator on this channel, this is an opportunity for you in everyday life. I mean, you could say you're a moderator on this channel, which will be a big channel in the future. This is just the beginning. It's still just the beginning, and only time will tell how big the channel is going to get, you know. So just keep that in mind. I do appreciate it, though. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything. I'm looking forward to Bash at the Beach next week. I thought that was going to be the season finale. That's so cool. Well, hey, I'm for it. The Bash at the Beach. I hope they got Hogan's commentary on this one. Well, whoever it is, whatever it is, you know, I don't want to take old mods away and start off from fresh again. I don't want to do that. Questions are good. I mean, I'd say streamline the questions a little bit more, but they're pretty good. Yeah. Okay, guys, so I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hope you all be safe, be well. And guys, don't forget, tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., I will be interviewed on Mike's Keto-rific Journey YouTube channel regarding keto, intermittent fasting, and a little bit of wrestling. You guys, I reveal what I'm going to be giving away. Once I hit 100,000 subscribers, I reveal in that video, in that live stream, in that premiere, actually. It's not a live stream, it's a premiere. It's pre-taped. Like how Raw used to be, pre-taped. So hopefully it hasn't been edited out. I haven't seen the final cut, but it should be in there. So what will happen? I'm just saying. I want to keep the peace so much, and I want the channel to just keep thriving. I don't want people to come onto the chat and turn away because they don't like what's going on in the chat. I want you guys to all be welcoming to new viewers, welcoming to everyone. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Oh, anytime, Bruce. Yep, play-by-play. You know, I try my best to do that. You guys enjoy the rest of your nights. Be safe and be well. MATTROISE signing out. Good night, everybody. Great to see you guys.